here.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, that is so great.
Now, this is
Great
the,
place to be, and great for her to
condensed
follow up on that and
version
not
of Park
ignore
and
it.
Pool and the rec.
Okay.
This is
So this was
everyone's complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
the small was the full of park and pool
Yeah.
and rec. Okay.
Yeah.
Not the big one. The big one's the final that we have to approve.
Yeah.
Well, we have the public hearings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did make a couple changes.
How do we stand, Lois?
We are still $22,000 under the cap.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's great.
The
And he's-
gentleman Joe was thinking of hiring,
That guy,
decline or whatever. He's gonna take a job with the state
Turned it down?
instead. Yeah. They were just better opportunity for him, so.
so
I-
we have some part-time stuff.
Yep, so I put
Figured in, right?
everything
The way
back
it
to the
was.
part-time
Mhm.
help, the police patrol and B. Adding, a clerk to help in the building.
The floater we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah, and,
Later you can explain about the personnel.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's, I was gonna ask the question if that was
Mhm.
included, because
Mhm.
Mary had mentioned that. you were
How did
helping
you make
Jen
out with
which is
the quote?
great.
Question with the mayor.
She's gonna explain to
Oh,
you, did
later.
not call the mayor.
Okay,
I was gonna call him, she called me with some information,
okay.
so we'll talk about that.
You know, Teddy was looking for part-time work for the winter,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if he wants to be going out plowing, so I don't know if Joe would maybe want to reach out to him.
I asked him about plowing because I ran into him Tuesday.
Your Ted.
Tuesday while I was doing the fields, and I said to him about plowing,
Uh-huh.
and he said he had done that for a number of years, and that was not something he might be interested in. But he does want to find summer job,
Uh-huh.
Winter.
a winter job, excuse me.
Yeah, I think he has one lined up.
He does? Okay. Okay,
Right, let's go.
there we go.
I was sticking with Mary. Mary, you do the talking.
Go ahead.
Well, because, let me start.
Yeah.
With the change of leadership, and it was so close to budget time, how did we go in and address park and pool and recreation because of the closeness to the budget process we were in? You didn't have a chance to sit down and go through with the previous director
Mm-hmm.
all the things that that person may have experienced with, cost increases and so on.
Correct.
There were several recommendations that we had come up with as a result of walking around, Mary and I walking around,
Okay. Mhm.
looking at lifeguard salaries,
Right.
staff salaries,
Mhm.
those kinds of costs.
Right.
We talked a little bit about fees. We talked a little bit about on-site improvements and so on.
Okay.
So how did you reconcile some of those minor things like product increases and so on? Was that just a 3% increase
It's
or?
just, basically, yes. I did increase the salary lines for the lifeguards
Correct.
and summer camp. I just looked at this at home, and there's a couple of changes I think we should make to the income versus on the rec side of things, not the park and pool.
Okay,
Maybe to match the revenue to the expense lines. They weren't quite matching. I don't know if that is something that we have to do. It's not a big number change. But it just seemed to me that if we're bringing in enough money to help those or cover those program expenses, you have, for
Yeah, you
me,
gotta balance it
thinking,
out.
yeah. So there's just like a couple little things, but I don't really know so much about the improvements.
so because this is a split department, park and pool
Right,
and recreation,
rec
you want to
is-
attack park and pool first, or you want
Okay.
to do recreation
Yeah,
first?
yeah,
It's
or-
up to you.
if you want to, chime in. I think I left the number park and pool revenue the same, 32. Do you agree that that should
The actual so far this year was 35.
Well, that was because of chlorine, right?
Is that revenue or is that
We're
expense?
looking at revenue right now. The expense, we did end up covering
Right.
with our budget amendments. I've increased the park and pool CE line to 70, but,
Before you go,
uh-huh,
if we were at 35.5 for this year,
yeah,
wouldn't we want to keep it or no?
Well,
Well, I
there's
mean,
the
it's-
chlorine, which we have a lot.
No,
this is-
revenue.
Like the revenue
Oh, that's
side?
right, revenue side, I'm sorry.
we budgeted 32,000 for this year, and we did receive 35. So if we want to increase that revenue line, we think we're gonna get that, we can.
Why do you think we increased it? But from 32 to 35, was it
We
a,
didn't increase it, that's what actually came in,
That's
was
what came in.
35. Yeah.
We
Go
hadn't
back to
touched these.
21, it was like 37.
Seven.
Right, yeah.
So if you want to maybe meet in the middle
Yeah, take
somewhere,
a
raise it a
meeting.
little bit.
That's fine,
so why don't you go up to 34, 35?
Yeah.
okay.
Well, there's also, I think, built-in recommendations from her board
Mhm.
on increasing some fees, correct?
Well, the pavilion
Right,
rental I'm going
Right.
to increase
Correct.
because there's no difference between if you're resident or non-resident.
so that will help build that even higher if we
Yes,
go
'cause
above
that's
budget.
all in that parking pool number.
Right.
And how would it compare? I would think even years prior to that, it might have been higher. I just anecdotally, it seems like there was a shift during COVID where fewer people were afraid to have their kids
Yeah.
do sports,
Sure.
even though it was outside. So,
Right.
Pavilion rentals were always kind of flat year to year. We didn't do a lot of marketing of it. But when Chelsea came on board, we started pushing online, rented for parties, rented for
Yeah.
parties, and it seemed to push that up a little bit. Plus, I think the attention to what the renter sees when they get there with the garbage cans fully lined, pavilion platforms clean.
yeah,
The grounds themselves very accommodating. I think that helps spread the word on birthday parties, and we even had some revealing parties, you know, the pregnancy revealing
yeah.
parties. So
That's
those
great.
caught on a little bit for the outside too, so
Yeah.
that helped.
Well, I
Oh,
bet
we-
you if it was, sorry, Mike, if
No.
it was heated, if those renovations and things that you're thinking about, I think people would use it a lot more. I mean, I just know that I would. I mean, we're all looking for a place to have a birthday, kids to run around that's not in our
Mhm.
house, you know? So I think it would be,
There's a chance to
Yeah.
do it at the gym also.
yeah,
Then
that's
we just have to
true.
worry about the gym floor.
Yeah,
You know, what kinds of chairs are being used and what kind of tables are being used, are they being scraped across? So
Yeah.
that's something that it's a real worry to do.
There
when it's
should
in there.
be a big blue tarp there that was purchased by the Rotary to,
That goes down on the surface.
in the village hall that should be kept downstairs for that purpose, to put on the floor for events.
Does
And we
the-
used it for New Year's Eve Millbrook.
Does the
that's
gym
great.
fall under park and pool? That's where that would all show if the gym was to be rented
Yes.
for parties and outings and
Yeah.
stuff?
Uh,
Or does it
depends
come
on
under
what it is. It would
recreation?
come under rec, under programs.
So we want to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that would be a rec.
So if I rented a birthday party but rented the gym, that would come under rec? Or should it come under the same as pavilions so that that's kind of all grouped under the
Like,
same
keep track of
umbrella?
What's going on in the gym? If we put it all together, then we're not gonna know the difference between the gym and the.
What if the blue building ends up being accommodated so you can rent? What's that gonna fall under? Is that gonna fall under park and pools or gonna fall under
Yeah, it
recreation?
should be separate so that we can tell what we're getting
Right.
from one versus
Yeah.
the other.
Mhm.
Because if it's not an activity, to me,
It's a
that's
lot of-
recreation.
Okay, yeah.
If it's a thing,
Mhm.
like we don't do anything but provide the place, then that to me is park and pool because it's a building.
We're doing pickleball right now, which all we're doing is providing a place, like what you're saying, and we're still.
That's under rec, gym activities.
But when it comes time to
LLC, when-
repair these
Mhm.
places, do you then start kind of graying the vision of, does it come out of recreation? Does it come out of capital? To me, that's a capital improvement when you start improving these floors, these buildings, these pavilions.
Well, one is
That-
program,
Well-
one is infrastructure. And
Correct.
that might be a way
Yeah,
to
right.
make that line, but however it's
Then
easier
how
for
do
you
take
to,
the money and separate
right, to
that?
understand, however
I guess
you
would
understand
take
how
the
you can
money
compare
and
it.
You
maybe
can make it a separate line.
percentage.
Yeah,
Well, you have a line item here for gym activities.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, why do you need another one?
It's preference,
I mean,
Danielle's
right? I mean,
preference, if
that-
she wants to see,
That breaks it out.
yeah.
Right, because
We
we could
both
always do
just-
like an 04, 06,
Just bring it to
01.
another line or
Right.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we could break down under gym activities, gym rental, pickleball.
Yeah.
It's still a program, but it's a rental, so that's
Right.
the hard one.
yeah,
And you know, when somebody's renting the space, like a basketball company is renting the space, then I guess that's just a program, not us.
Right,
that's gone under the revenue for.
Yeah, because when
that
it
has
comes,
gone
when it
under
comes time
basketball.
for
Mhm.
the rec department to look at their fees for participating in soccer, for participating in basketball, for participating, you want to make sure that that revenue is coming in from registration covers that. Not looking at that registration to cover resurfacing the floor
Right,
so that you can keep
Right.
that kind of clean.
I think it, what,
Otherwise, your fees will go sky high. If you needed to do something to the floor because it needed it, and the village wasn't participating in this, you don't know where you can take it from, you're gonna be looking at taking it out of a fee line for participation in a sport. So yeah, if you could break another line down, that would be good.
but
So you-
however those lines make, I mean, you want to see what's coming in and what's going out, but you also, you probably want to have a level set and see growth in some of these areas,
Mhm.
particularly since you're starting new, to understand kind of in your mind how you,
Is there a way to take a percentage of programming and put it into a line item so that it's kind of like savings account if you do have to?
well, I mean,
or is that not-
one would think that our biggest revenue source is the programming, right? And so you would be taking some of that and I think allocating it at some point. But I don't know if there's a policy, like some places have policies like we're going to give 10%, we're going to put it back into the building or whatever. I just think at this point, we probably need so much investment in the building that we wouldn't have like a policy per se, but so I don't
And if
know.
I'm wrong,
Mhm.
because I do use it. You would be able to see the income of the, like pickleball, in the MyRec software.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So is it necessary
Right.
to
To
put,
show it in there.
to show it in here?
Right.
Whatever your preference is. Because then what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna do like gingerbread houses? Are you gonna start dividing and then we have a lot of
Then we use the
items?
fire department and, yeah.
right.
So it's,
Yeah, I believe we've not used the MyRec program to its fullest ability by putting in expenses that we've had per program and things like that. I'm not sure if you're using it that way or
That's kind
not.
of like what the soccer, how I made that report that I showed you.
Yes,
With my stuff, so that we can get the money from there and break down everything accordingly. So
okay.
I like using what's on there.
I think that's a great idea because then you really know dollars and cents. Are you breaking even? Are you not breaking even? If you have some money, extra money, can you invest it into the program like you talked about? Could you purchase new equipment like the nets and things like that? So I think it's probably the best way to know exactly where we're at.
right, because I think there's quite a few things that we're going into gym activities. There are quite a few things that we're going into community events. But each of those little programs,
They have, oh,
do we want to see a line item in the budget for that?
I think long as we have the MyRec report for it, we don't necessarily need it broken down in the budget. If, every quarter perhaps the board gets a
Yeah,
report.
your budget
For
would
my-
be your target.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple things that we had to tweak, like pickleball. how we're gonna place it in there,
Right.
whether or not that's under facilities,
Right.
which that's, I think, where we're heading right with this, because that's a facilities rental, but it's still a program, so where you put it, which is actually not really a program, it's actually a rental because you go there and you just rent the space.
Right.
You can get a lot out of it, and you can break down my rec
Mhm.
with different budgets too. So right now, there's budget lines in there that say winter sports.
Mhm.
Well, why just have just winter sports when you have basketball, you're gonna have a soccer program in there? I mean, there should be more budgets in there that you could break down so that we can make reports for that too. So
Right,
that
yeah.
should probably be something we talk about.
Mhm. Do we want to start with Danielle giving some of her suggestions and then coming back to the actual budget numbers?
Mhm.
I think that's probably a smart way to do it.
So, I originally looked at the Parks and Pools about the pavilion rental, and, the pavilion rental, the large pavilion is at $225, straight across the board, it doesn't matter if you're a resident, doesn't matter if you're a non-resident. The small pavilion is $175 if it's a Saturday or Sunday, it's $125 if it's during the week. I don't know if it's necessary to break those down, do we have to do it so that it's one price for the weekends versus,
regardless of the day.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't even know how that ever started.
I don't think we need to.
should it all be 175? Should
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But then we should probably, if you go to buy a pool pass, you're gonna say whether or not you're a resident. If you get a daily pass, you're gonna say whether or not you're gonna be a resident and you get a different charge. If you're a senior citizen resident versus non-resident, you get a different charge. So I'm not quite sure why we're not charging different for the pavilion.
So in other words, a resident, non-resident renting a pavilion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
So should
so,
we add 25, 50 or non-resident?
well, right
Well, she's-
now, there's a 10 to 20% difference in different varieties of things.
Mhm.
So that's why I broke it down on the bottom there, so that you could see large pavilion, for a resident would be 225. If we increased it for the non-resident to 20%, then this goes to 270. So I mean, we have a choice here, how much we wanna
Hmm.
charge for it. And then again, the small pavilion.
How do these prices, do you know, Danielle, how they compare to other parks that do their rentals of pavilions? Or are we kind of unique with the open pavilion? A lot of places don't have
Well,
that.
we offer swimming, which some places
Oh, they
like,
get swimming if they rent a pavilion.
Mhm.
So that's a big,
and that's another
perk.
thing that we have to
Yeah.
consider. If the large pavilion is letting us rent it and having 150 people,
And-
we have to really consider whether or not we need more lifeguards for 150 people. If
Correct.
they're really bringing 150 people and having them
Correct.
swim,
correct.
so,
How would you think
That
about
makes
just
sense.
scaling that based on the number of people you need to add? So it's this much for, this is the rental fee, and then if you hit this
they do-
capacity,
they
we
do
need this
actually
many
tell us, but
lifeguards
there's not a difference in
in
rental.
price.
And-
But maybe there should, if it's a huge group and we have to hire an extra lifeguard, it would make sense to tack on the price of whatever that lifeguard would be and pass it along to the rental.
Mostly, the lifeguard thing is, with camp, you have to have a certain amount, a cap for.
Right,
for
I was
camp.
wondering, yeah.
But for just the public, it's very minimal amount of lifeguards. But if I were a lifeguard and I just saw 150 people coming, I wouldn't feel safe being a lifeguard. I would want,
Yeah, thanks.
and I would want our lifeguards to feel safe. So having that extra person,
Yeah.
having that phone call to that person and say, most of them are just gonna be 40 people and half of them aren't gonna swim. But in the case that you're having a high school graduation
Right.
and they can come and go as they please and you're allowed to have 150 people walk in and out and they're gonna, half the time they're gonna go swimming, this is gonna be costly if we do need to have.
Yeah.
Typically, we have 4 guards, 3 in the chair, 1 on the side. And the one on the side typically is responsible for the gate. So that kind of takes them away from visibility on the water. For the numbers of people that are typically there on average, that's sufficient
Yeah.
coverage. In fact, the ratio is even pretty good. It's pretty standard. But again, if you have a big party and 25 middle-aged kids come down and jump in the water, then it becomes where that fourth guard needs to be out sitting in a chair or standing. And then you lose that person at the gate, but that's more of an operational thing. But that makes sense to anticipate that. And I don't mind looking at this upscale because things are getting more expensive. And it was a cheap rental. I mean, one party that I was overseeing, they had 2 bouncy houses. They had a DJ. They had 125 people.
I was there that day.
Yeah, and they were partying, they were having a ball, and it was trickle down, trickle up. Not everybody went to the water at the same time, and not everybody left. So it was kind of back and forth. So it wasn't inundated on the beach, but it was busy
And they have the whole space privately, so there's no
Yes.
other people that are there.
And
up
you
there.
have it for 7 hours?
You can have it from 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
Wow, that's a very.
So I just did math. If,
And you don't have and the small pavilion wasn't open at the same time. If you had both parties
Yeah.
going, that's a pretty
Graduation
big
time,
crowd.
high school graduation,
No, yeah.
college graduation?
yeah,
This was a Sweet 16 party.
well, it's $162 just to have a lifeguard there for the 7 hours. And you, plus another hour, making sure it's cleaned up, set up, ready to go. So, we may be profiting $60 on an event. So I think the small pavilion, we probably want to increase that fee. Actually, we should probably increase both fees a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't see why, you can't beat it.
Oh, no, it's a very inexpensive rental.
Well, I like the recommendation, 200 for the small pavilion and 250 for the large one. Bring it up. $25 on one and $5 on the other. And then if you want to do a limit on the number of people and increase it.
That's hard to do. 'cause
We
it's-
used to pay, they used to have to pay though, like if
Right.
it was
Yeah,
up
pay
to
extra,
say
right?
like 50 people, and then for each additional person,
You
it was,
paid,
you
right.
paid per person.
Right,
So as they were coming in, the lifeguards would do a count
right.
and say it was $3 a person over 50 or over whatever the number was. At the end of the event, you were billed, you knew you had to pay that number, or not that number of people. Or coming in, you would say, I've got 100 guests coming. So, okay, so it's going to be an extra, 100 or 150, depending on what we think should be the extra charge.
You can do it, set a baseline, and then anything over that, you add. The problem
You say
with an
the
open,
average is probably around 30, 40 people. In the big
probably higher.
Yeah.
The problem is it's an open gate, so they're coming in, going all day long. Cars are coming in, going up. Oh, I've got another party to go to, a whole carload leaves, and then 2 more cars come in. It's a tough tracking
It is.
It is. It's a
for
lot of work
the people at the
lifeguards.
gate.
Yeah.
But, again, you gotta have that coverage.
Yeah.
Plus the garbage.
Right, because are we letting
They take
people,
out.
they're still
It's
taking
supposed
out?
to be.
Okay.
They don't take out.
So we charge them a garbage fee, we
Yeah.
charge them an extra fee per person.
And that's coverage right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like she said, that's gonna be hard for the lifeguards to keep track of.
so they have to tell us when they sign up, we're
Right.
gonna have X number of people.
That would be okay.
And then, we have a clicker for one, small pavilion,
yeah.
clicker for large pavilion. So if 6 people come in, they just,
Well, I think if they give you the number, they should pay for that number.
right. I mean, if they're gonna
You
tell
can-
us 50 people
and then
and,
100 show
100
up.
show up, then we have a problem and they have to pay the extra fee anyway.
And the other thing is to get it all confirmed well in advance. Because we had one this year that supposedly was supposed to have their party, they never showed. We had the lifeguard sitting there for 4 hours. So you gotta lock them in. But I think that
It should be a
increase
rule that they
is
pay it.
appropriate.
Beforehand. not
Beforehand,
Sure.
yeah.
Because we already had 3 reservations for next year, which weren't supposed to happen, but did.
But that's okay, because if you're uncomfortable and on top of it,
Right.
so they pay a 50% deposit or whatever you
Correct.
want it to be upon booking.
Non-refundable.
And then we, a month before they have to
Yeah.
finalize.
So should large pavilion still be at 150 is what I think it says?
What did we say? The large pavilion should be 250 and the
No,
small
I'm saying
250.
people.
Oh,
250
people.
I'm sorry.
You mean head count? I think.
So I mean, if I were gonna rent it, I would rent the 150 and my kids can, if it's their high school graduation, then I don't have to worry about it because how many kids are in their class? 80 kids are in their class,
Right.
so I'm not gonna go over it, so I'm just gonna say 150. Wouldn't that be what you would do if you rented it? But then,
So 150 people or $150?
150 people.
That's the head count.
I don't know.
Because you know how
Yeah.
something like that graduation, that's the thing that you never know, because you say to your kids, let's have a high school graduation, and they start inviting
Right.
everybody and anybody. It's not gonna be like a regular Sweet 16 party.
Well, then you have family and family's kids.
Right.
I would say, just for control's sake, I would do half, up to 75 people. And then if they wanted more, they,
75 at the large.
yeah. And we can go up to 150 people,
Max.
because I think we should have some,
Control.
Is there any, I mean, it's outdoor, so there's no fire concern or anything, are there safety concern? That's good.
Yeah, I just talked to the Department of Health about it, because
Yeah.
I was concerned mostly about the lifeguards.
Yeah, and they have no standard either, there's nothing the insurance requires or anything.
No.
and I'm throwing out arbitrary numbers, so feel free to,
I think that makes sense, up
Yeah.
to 75, and then above 75 to 150 is a different number. It
I mean,
just
it's
makes it
really- when
easier.
you
Plus
think
the
about it,
nu-
That's a pretty good deal.
Plus
Yeah,
the number
great
of
deal.
tables that are up there to accommodate that number is probably appropriate, what you were saying, because the picnic tables, like people are having a party, people are sitting and so on. You don't want to say 200 people and only have seating for 50.
right, because people use the tables for food and
Yes.
beverages
Yeah.
and
I think those are good numbers,
75 as
Yeah. Big and 50 at the smaller.
okay.
And then what if they do want more?
They pay a surcharge, love it. Per person.
So the 250 would include up to 75 people.
Correct.
And then,
It might just be just do 75 and above, like one flat rate, so they don't have to click. I
Mhm.
don't know. Then you can, because you can
Yes.
kind of eyeball and see, and it's sort of like, and it, you know,
Yeah, we're not like,
we're working at a
Scrabble or
club. Like we're like,
But this people that come are
Yeah.
really local. It's usually families.
Right.
They don't abuse it.
right.
It's not like we have people traveling from Armenia and
We used to have a Poughkeepsie
Sharon.
Journal party out here. I think Mike Flanagan, not
Oh, when he
Mike
was
Flanagan,
his brother. No,
John Flanagan.
Early. Wasn't he with the newspaper?
Yeah, but I think it was John Flanagan used to rent the
Oh.
pavilion, and they would have hundreds
Oh, I
of
know.
people out here. But he was a town resident, so he would make the reservation.
I like your idea.
Yeah,
just a
At
flat
or
rate,
above,
yeah.
yeah.
And then, you know, they don't have, it's easier for us to manage, and it's easier to eyeball how many people
mhm.
So we're saying
come in.
175 for a resident, having 50 people at the small pavilion.
I think you do up to 70, you do Mary, up to 75. Mary, what's the number then?
Yeah. And then 50 at the small one.
Right.
And that's about it.
Oh, is that, Gary, is that your phone beep? I was wondering if I
Yeah.
had a,
Yeah.
So it's
Is that
225
Biden?
Yeah.
for 75, and then it's 2 for a resident. So you're talking 250 for a non-resident?
Yeah.
Right, on the big one.
Mhm.
Right?
And
But that's at
then,
75, so what happens if they say that they want 100 people?
then that's it. It's just,
That's it.
that's it. It's either up to 75 or 75 to 150. There's no.
Right, so what's the
breakdown.
price though? What's the 75?
Oh, what's the price? I don't know.
So then do you go to 250?
Sorry, I thought you didn't.
Is that
I was just
then
sticking with
250 for a
concept there.
resident,
Well,
50,
let's say-
75 and above?
If we needed one more lifeguard for 4
That
hours,
would be a call in
what's it going to
Yeah.
cost us for a lifeguard?
well, we just said that.
160 hours.
You know, if it's 4 hours versus 8 hours,
They,
yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah.
Somebody there.
And that would be very rare, I would think, and that would be a call-in, and availability.
Why don't we do half the price? If you go from 75
Yeah.
to 150,
Yeah.
50% of the fee,
Mathematically do your half price.
right?
That makes good sense.
Yeah, it does.
It is a lot, but
I don't think it's cost prohibitive, though. I think people, as long as they're notified well in advance, after the budgets, on the rec page, you do a new prices for 2023.
225 and 112. 337.50.
That's a little high.
I think.
Yeah,
Once you go over 300,
Oh, no.
it's scary.
You can't do that.
Yeah,
There's not a value of $300 up there.
yeah.
Unless it was exclusive and they only had the waterfront for themselves, then you're talking totally different.
Yeah.
If somebody rented the whole park.
But they're
Well,
not
they
renting the whole
use-
part. I think
No.
that,
The use of
oh,
it.
that's how I was,
No, this is not exclusive.
oh, okay.
It's just that they are up there
50, you
I
think?
see.
and no one else
Maybe
can be
They
up
do
there.
300 or
So
something?
so you get underneath the $300 threshold.
Then you have your public that comes in
Right.
$299
on a
then?
Yeah,
regular.
that's what I'm saying, exactly, $299.99.
So that helps a little bit with your revenue.
275 feels better.
Mhm. And then look, you know, we can,
Non-resident. than
Well, the
300.
non-resident, I
Yeah.
think you can do,
Yeah.
you can go over that number. Just my feeling, if people are coming from Pleasant Valley or Amelia or Dover,
Yeah.
Paying the taxes.
yeah, exactly.
and, you know, we see how it goes. If you think that we're losing customers because of it, come
Yeah,
back and say
you're gonna have
something.
to let
Yeah.
us know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
get-
good, then.
But I think people go, if it's a birthday party or graduation party, there's often more than one family, and they can, I just think it's I don't know.
Oh, you know what, if somebody comes in, like the difference on this price, how much is it gonna cost for this person if they say they're 75 and they add another 50 to it? Per person per day, what's that cost?
What's it
And that's
costing?
what we can,
Right.
I think it's $8.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can justify
has
this.
that's a good justification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And non-resident is anyone beyond the school district. Because,
Right.
Mary, is that correct?
Yes.
No,
don't we consider,
no, Town of Washington is Town of Washington only.
oh.
You can use it and join our programs as a Millbrook Central School District person, but you're a non-resident.
So they pay the non-resident fee.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was really before we started opening it up to any
Pleasant
non-resident.
Valley,
Yeah,
I remember people used to come from me. Okay.
If you add another 25 people onto this, $26 per person. You get a good charge. This is a deal,
Mhm.
actually, if you look at it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. Makes you feel better. right,
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you feel comfortable with the justification if you do get asked, yeah.
I have in my office, I had pulled a flyer from somewhere that was doing birthday parties, and it was like an hour and a half, $125
Yeah.
up to so many kids. They
Yeah.
had use of the pool, they had birthday
There's a
cake,
pavilion.
juice, and something else.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking, like, we might want to do that, you know, and kind of, you can maybe have 3 parties on a Saturday or something like that, dedicate a lifeguard just to the birthday parties. And,
That is interesting, a birthday package, because they do that at the gym, the barn in
Yeah.
Pleasant Valley, and they'll hit you, you can, it just keeps
right,
going if they provide the soft drinks, if they provide an extra person, and
yeah, because you can do the
So-
same thing inside the gymnasium in the
Yeah.
village too, as, you know, you can have the
are
basketball
you ready to
hoops
be a
down.
party planner, Danielle? Party packages?
That's what it
We've
is.
got,
The bowling facilities used to do that.
Right.
Pizza party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birthday party.
Yeah.
pizza
San
birthday
Diego,
party.
that's where my son lives. They have a little
Parties.
park down the street and they charge to use the pavilion.
Yeah.
I think it's for the day. They might give it to you for the day.
Yeah.
But I think the small pavilion there is probably the size, maybe a little smaller than our small pavilion. And it's $500.
Yeah.
And it's got something going on all all the time. Every time you go by, there's balloons and.
Yeah.
So people are renting it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a little playground next to it.
Right.
But it's not as nice as our playground.
Yeah,
even.
yeah. And I know I rented the
It's
zoo,
in San Diego.
the Millbrook Zoo for my kids' birthday parties years ago, and it was
Yeah.
like $225.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was better than bringing them in my house. And,
Yeah. No, people are, and, you know, Spins Bowl is outrageously expensive. Like, I think we're gonna be, that's just to have kids play bowl and get pizza, they get a
Right.
party package. I mean, if we compared it, not that we're looking to get into the party business, but if we wanna do,
Is
we,
one of them gonna be a magician?
I mean,
Sign
he
him
might,
up?
he might. He's available for rental.
Yeah.
Really, swimming, mini golf, you could
Yeah.
play
Yep.
here, you could go on the playground, there's lots that they could do. Maybe a flyer that tells everything that we do will increase.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm just thinking if you just had like an hour and a half and parents like to know, this is my start time, this is my end
Yeah.
time. I can go, everything is
An hour
there.
and a half is the typical time for.
For
No,
a birthday
no.
party, 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. I like to be-
It's gotta be more.
Oh, it's like-
For little kids, like,
For little kids.
like little kids,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, because then they get tired and cranky and, suddenly Susie no longer likes Bobby and.
Yeah, for sure, 2 hours is a max.
Yeah,
It's like a military invasion, Daniel.
Yeah.
I can give you the schedule.
I wish my kids were younger.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess,
yeah,
You probably do too.
yeah.
yeah.
Camp registration hasn't increased in a little bit of time, and minimum wage is going up 8%, so I wonder if it's time to increase registration.
It
Yeah.
is.
This year.
Your board said, go ahead with that.
We left it kind of flat because of COVID, but it's time. Yeah.
So that, like,
They said it hadn't been done in 3 years. I think that's what Brian Kelly said.
the thing that we want to do this year too is bring more adult staff into play. And in order to make that happen, not a lot of adults really want to do it. They'd rather keep their kids home or whatever if they're available. But if we give them a 30% discount, if they have their kids in the program, then in Pleasant Valley, I found that we found more adults that were doing it. So that might be something.
And we set that precedent this year during soccer. If a father or a mother chose to be the soccer coach, they got their registration fee reimbursed. So that
That's a
that
great
landed some,
idea.
that tied some in.
Why not just, I mean, if you do the interviewing process and, I don't know, you give them a half a discount or whatever you think for the,
There's a promo code that you can use on MyRec if they're signing up for it, if they can get 30% off.
I think that's great. Because you want to attract good people. That's what really would
Yes.
make the
Especially
camp,
girls.
Yeah.
Right, good people who have kids on the program.
Right. They take ownership on it more.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how we all started. All the Outwaterers and,
Mhm.
Amy Jacques and her mom and,
Oh, yeah, there was many, many people that,
Honey Whalen.
yeah.
We all started that way.
Yeah,
And then it was for free. If you worked it,
right.
your kids went for free.
Yeah.
And I was a stay-at-home mom at that point, so that was definitely a perk for me.
So if we adopt this, you'll start recruiting those adults now? Till the end.
Sure.
Good.
Usually camp, I usually
Did you,
start that way.
I just want to throw it out, is the 30%, I mean, would it make sense to do more than that? I mean, how many people do you need? You need 5 people, so it's not like we'd be losing a ton of revenue. Is it worth it to get, because you'll probably get a lot of applications that way, and then you can kind of pick and choose your counselors. I don't know. I don't want to disrupt the budget, but just throwing that out there.
What's the fee now?
Well, what if the
Go to
person
camp?
has 3 kids?
Right, maybe it's just you just do one. I mean, you just do one.
So we did it so that we gave the 30%, and one of the people didn't have any kids. One of them had 1 kid, the other had 1 kid, and the other one had 2 kids. And we gave the one that had 2 kids still 30% off.
Right,
Per
We're not-
kid or just,
Off the top
Flat.
of their.
right.
Right.
Their bill.
yeah, that makes sense.
The thing about soccer is that
Well, you thought this through. I shouldn't suggest something else. It'd be easier for you just to have, be able to pick and choose the team you want to put together to create the best.
I mean, they're not getting
Camp.
any discount now if they work.
Right.
Right.
50% sounds great to
Yeah,
them.
okay,
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
I don't know that many people know that it used to be for free, so I don't think that we're really,
It's a whole different
Okay.
generation.
Right.
Yeah.
as far as sports are concerned, I really think it should be off of one team. So I think that there was a misunderstanding about assistants and a coach and assistant coach, so it should be only off of the head coach that you get that refund for your kids. There was a little bit of a
Yeah, I know with
miscommunication.
Grange soccer, with the grandkids, they don't give you pure coaching, they don't give you any
Yeah, but
break,
they're either-
and I was just, son-in-law's brother from Rhode Island was here this weekend, I saw him for my grandson's confirmation, and he coaches over there, and they get nothing off of it
Yeah.
from Rhode Island, and they got a big program.
I think that's new. I mean, and maybe they, at least in the town rec soccer, I don't think you ever got a discount.
This was
Discount.
because they
That's
couldn't
new.
find coaches.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. No,
Right.
I think we should, because it's been like pulling teeth to get
You
people
can't
to
find
volunteer.
coaches.
Yeah,
And it's a small community
yeah.
and small registration. If you had 300 kids signing up, you're going to get somebody that says, I'll do it, and not even question it because they got to be there anyways.
Yeah.
With their son.
I
But
think that they did it in basketball last year because I know that one guy has 2 kids that just did basketball coaching. He has 2 kids, so both of those kids would go for free.
Because he
because
coached
he's
both
doing
teams.
2
Right.
teams, so.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So the payroll seems to be good for camp, even if we're doing, grown-ups. But I was thinking that there has to be a difference in rates that we give to counselors versus group leaders. I don't know how that worked this past year, but since we're doing $14.20 for the counselors, which would be, the purple shirts, then I think that the group leaders should at least get $14.70.
Yeah, there was no difference.
I think that
And I think,
there's a lot more responsibility, and I really think that the group leaders should be getting paid more.
yes. And if we've had somebody for several years and they continue to be a good employee, we should,
That was supposed to be increased a quarter every year to come back.
which
So-
hasn't been, that practice has not been done in many years.
So we have to decide this year if that's gonna be are we counting this year as our first year? And then anybody that comes back next year would get the additional 25 cents on whatever the minimum wage is?
Yes, Lois is saying yes.
So I don't think minimum wage is it's gonna stay at $14.20. It's probably gonna go up more, right?
It doesn't, it only goes up once a year.
No, I mean,
Oh.
for the next summer.
For the
So
next, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Summer
Yeah,
is
it goes up.
$14.20.
Actually, it went up
Let's say it's 15 next
quite
year.
a bit this year.
And a lot of people are paying kids $15 an hour.
Yeah.
If
They
you
are.
work at Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's,
Yeah.
that's the problem we had in Pleasant Valley, is that they're working there because they can make a lot more than
Right.
on camp. Now, can we offer some kind of incentive to any of the kids in the high school or the colleges that are going to school for education? Can we offer them to do a little bit of work so that they consider this kind of an internship where you actually have to make plans and get practicing on making plans on what they're gonna do? They all have free periods, so what are you gonna do during that free period?
if you're going to increase their duties and responsibilities, then you got to
That's their
compensate.
internship, that's only their internship.
That you have to compensate them.
They should have been doing all this all along,
all
they
along.
should have had all these plans, if that wasn't expected in the
Right.
past so many years.
Right. But if it's a elementary ed student from college that's working, build that into their requirements, yes. That's a good
As an
idea.
internship.
Yes.
Can't they, are you thinking also the Millbrook High School's requirement? Don't they have a requirement to do a certain number of
That's community
internships?
service.
Not
And
anymore.
You're not supposed to
Oh,
get paid for that.
Okay, that's community
But
service
if they're
part.
planning on going to educate through education, it is good for them to have the practice.
Right.
Oh, sure.
That they can start thinking about what they're gonna do. I mean,
I think most of the senior counselors this year were not education majors. Most of them, some were engineer, a couple were different tech guys.
We had a couple though, of,
the past.
there was one young lady who was going for her master's in
Right,
education.
right.
We, we had a couple of others that were in education towards the end of their.
So
school
they, as a
year.
hire, probably should start it a little bit
A little bit
higher.
more.
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit more. That's a good idea.
Well, we also do have that babysitting list that we can put out,
Mm-hmm.
and we can put those people at the top of the list because
Yeah.
they are doing the work for.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
But they also understand, whoever you put in charge of them, they gotta do their lesson plan, they gotta do their, whatever they're doing for the kids, you know, it's not just out there babysitting. Come up with some of the skills you learned in college.
Right. Well, and I saw, just when I observed, the counselors that had the older kids were,
That's tough.
they were tough ages. 5th and 6th grade girls were whiny and complaining, but it wasn't like the fifth, they could have been doing, let's look at,
Take a bunch of
makeup,
fashion magazines and
yeah,
make
just,
collages.
yeah, just there's things they could have
Yeah.
tried to do,
But
and we
that's
had
gotta
no
be a creative
innovation.
counselor.
Yeah. So,
And even that
but
was
it
the
comes
feedback
top
you got
down.
from your board. Those kids need to be,
One of the counselors told me that, I said, well, when you were younger, because I had him.
Yeah.
We used to separate the girls and the boys, it was.
Right, and they still do
different
that, yeah.
grades. And he said that they didn't do it this year.
no, they were separated.
yeah, they were separated.
They were
Because the girls were
At what age did they separate them?
5th and
5th and
6th.
6th.
Yeah.
It's the same too.
No, they
Yeah.
were separate. They were supposed to be.
No, they had different group, yeah, but they were definitely,
For certain activities, but the last 2 weeks I watched them, they were separated.
yeah.
Because the girls were down in that little pagoda on their phones.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's only 3 hours.
We're still
You
waiting
have
for
to
the
come for 3
feedback on the
hours.
survey.
Yeah.
Let's see where your minds can go for 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you don't have a phone in front of you, yeah.
But
There
I
should
like
be
the
no,
idea.
There should be, we could have a no phone requirement.
We had that
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
That was.
Sure can.
Did you?
Whatever
I mean,
you want.
I think that, it's, parents love that.
Yep.
I mean,
Until that parent
yeah.
says, oh, I gotta pick them up early.
Right,
I gotta
yeah,
do this, when
yeah.
they have somebody else pick them up. That's when the parents are getting.
My grandkids
Yeah.
go to sleepover camp. One goes away for a month, the others go away for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. No phones,
Yeah.
no computers. It's like detox.
It's the best thing.
It is.
for
They
them.
come back and they say, oh, and then right away they start
Yeah.
falling back into
Well,
bad
you wouldn't
habits.
believe what we did.
yeah.
Yeah. I learned a card game. Exactly.
Poker.
Yeah.
One of the things I wouldn't mind them doing.
Camp for the week.
Yeah.
Couldn't talk to her, but I was going nuts.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like, thank God they're gone, but you don't. You're like, okay. I would love to get a program going. I don't know where it would happen, if I can make it happen at camp to do this, but have you ever seen in towns where they have those little libraries?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the
Oh,
little
yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you switch the
Yeah.
books.
It really would be
You
great
take a
to
book,
have
you
your-
drop a
It's
book.
supposed
There was one
to
in town.
have it.
Yeah.
It's great, I see them all.
I don't know
over the
where it
place.
is in
I thought it
town.
was so- I thought there
But
was
at the
one.
park, it would be an excellent place. I mean,
Yeah,
Well, just here.
just here too, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's something that maybe
Girl Scouts.
we could build them at camp and then
Yes.
residents can ask to buy them or whatever.
That's a great idea.
Would you want to put one in front of your house? And you can actually, through Little Library, you can actually register it. So if somebody's coming into Millbrook
And they want to
and
get a
they're here
book.
for for a weekend or whatever, they want to look up little libraries to walk around, they can go to your house and.
I would love to, except Alden Place is not the place to put anything
Yeah.
like that. If you put a bicycle out, the bicycle ends up all over town. That's unfortunately, it's because the school, every kid that walks by does some naughty stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure if it
But-
was done correctly and Wayland was approached, they probably could put it next to their sign where they have their houses.
But maybe like the senior citizens,
Yep.
like on their property.
Yep.
It might, because
Oh,
they
right.
are always,
At Alden?
Yeah.
About-
the
about-
Church Alliance property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're always watching.
Cool
Oh, they are,
They're
yeah.
all over
I donate my
Minnesota.
books to the one over in Connecticut, in Gaylordsville, Connecticut. There's a farm over there that has one, and it's bigger. And I just bring my books and drop them there.
I bet you tons of parents would do it at the field too, where the concession is, like on a weekend.
We had books there and they got all moldy and
Oh,
stuff.
they did? Even,
We
okay.
just threw about 60 books away.
Oh,
They were moldy and disgusting.
Yeah.
But downtown with a closed door and trade, you put one in, you take one
Yeah, the
out.
glass
Yeah,
doors.
the
glass
doors, yeah.
You can see
Yeah.
the title.
That's not a bad idea.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could sponsor it, put a little business sign under it,
Yeah.
sponsored by. Gotta raise money. $50.
Project in conjunction with the library, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure she would be.
she would love to do it.
Mhm.
Put a couple
Courtney's.
even on Main Street.
Yep.
Put one in front of my
It
building.
would be great to
Back
have
of my
one here.
Right.
While they're waiting to get their.
The road
their
test.
they
Yeah.
can go.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a
Mom's
good
desk.
spot.
Yeah.
There's always people out there.
Yeah.
I was thinking of getting a little coffee maggot,
In your free time, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, so our contract with LMC has to be talked about.
Yeah.
So this,
Thank you.
there's a copy of, their past contracts.
Was this ever brushed by our attorney?
No. Nope.
So I just did this contract that's on the top, and, so if you see that monthly charge, I increased from 330 to 350, but as you see on the 22 one, it's unlimited amount of hours that they can use the gym.
Yeah, yeah,
It's nuts.
yeah.
We, right now, I base everything that goes on in the gym on Lois's rental. So if Lois is renting for pickleball, then why should somebody from Pine Plains that's making a lot of money on a basketball program get a deal? So it's been happening for him. I don't want to put anybody out of business. I don't want to, have hard feelings or anything, but what he's getting right now is he's getting for about $3 an hour. So,
Have we investigated to make sure that it was not a 2-year deal? He
here's
claims it.
Here's-
Here's the
He
contract.
claims
It
it.
is,
Calendar year.
well, here's the 21
Yeah.
one. The 22 one does not have that paragraph,
Oh, God.
which is a great thing.
He
It's
wants
not
to-
mentioned that it's a 2-year.
He wants to challenge the change, that's his problem.
So, yeah, he's right in saying that it's a 2-year. In 2021, it was a 2-year. But 2022 is the end of those 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
now is our time when we have to
Correct.
act fast on
And if we lose them, we lose them. We'll find
It
somebody
says-
else.
Well, if you have 18 people play pickleball, then they pay for what he,
Correct.
and we want to increase availability for people to have indoor.
And you want
Yeah,
control,
Right.
because we have had feedback that kids are in there unsupervised.
So that is also stated in his new one.
Yeah.
The new contract that if he's found having kids being there by themselves, then that is a breach of contract.
Correct. Good.
Does he provide insurance? Yeah. I
He
see.
does. I do have copies of that
Yeah.
also, but
And you've had Jeff look at this, right?
did you forward it to him already on the email, or should I do it?
I think I did, but I can't say that I have.
I just don't know how it goes with, do we have an unlimited amount of time that we can reach out to him, or if I send something to him, is that like a certain charge? How does that work?
We pay by the hour or 10 minutes or something like that.
So I don't want to double it if you did it.
Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning about it. I'll see you yeah.
You may also just want to put in the address of the company.
In the contract.
Yeah, that's just a
Mhm.
standard. You say LMC Athletics and
Where he's
whatever.
located,
Yeah, where
yeah.
they're located, just so they
At
can
the top
say,
part,
yeah,
almost
that's
like
not me.
that.
That's
In
the
sentence
LMC
one, yeah.
Athletics
Yeah.
in Idaho or something. I don't know.
There is a lot of
Like it,
complaints from the
that's
ladies
Yeah,
at the village hall that
exactly.
there's
Yeah.
food and it smells, I think the boys actually, the men that are from LMC are eating while they're there and leaving stuff behind, so that's why I said to the removal of all food and wrappers from the building.
They shouldn't even be eating in there.
No.
I mean, if they're renting for an hour at a time or even 4 hours, they can go outside, they can go in their car. There should be no food allowed in there whatsoever.
After the floor.
I would do the same thing with, breach a contract if there's food in there.
Now,
I mean, they can have water
that's what
or
I'm saying. Kids are
Gatorade.
gonna have their water. they're gonna
Yeah,
have
their
their
drinks,
Gatorade.
yeah.
No food involved?
But no food.
No food.
No eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ants,
Food allowed,
you
yeah.
got
Right.
ants, you got bugs, you got Plus, it opens up the door for complaints from the village.
Right.
Well, we can't say no food in the building if we're gonna.
No, just
do
in
birthday
the,
parties.
in the
No, no,
gym-
but no food during their contracted period.
in the gym.
Well, we don't want them even eating in the meeting room area.
I don't think they can.
They,
go in
I
there.
don't think they have access.
Is that locked now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So- And are we avoiding village board meeting days with them or?
Oh, village board meets in the firehouse.
Oh, okay.
They do?
Yeah, after putting up that security wall and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, they meet in the firehouse.
Okay.
When did that go up? Anybody else have anything that should be added to this?
Who signs contracts for us?
Gary should be.
Yes. It should come out of this office.
So a contract like this, Gary has to sign,
We
not
should sign.
the rec director.
Yeah, I would make Gary
I
the,
make Gary, because then the liability shifts away from you to the town.
Yeah, I mean, our legal counsel can take a quick look at that. It'll take,
Yeah.
it'll take more than 2 minutes to look at.
In the past, we just had Chelsea sign it.
Yeah, that's,
yeah, but I don't even think Jeff had
but
a
it never. got
review
passed.
of the
Yeah.
contract.
Sure he didn't.
No.
So that way everything comes through. Here you get a copy, they keep a copy, the person gets a copy. And somebody like,
I mean, I still think that Danielle's name should appear on there, her signature should appear on there along with mine.
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, that would be underneath yours.
Right.
As the recreation director, but you're the official signer of contracts.
I mean, just basically stating we both agree to the terms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's probably one official signatory, right, for the, I mean, you probably, you sign everything, right? And Gary signs all the checks?
yeah, yeah, Gary.
It's
I
part of
sign,
the supervisor's responsibility.
yeah, and Gary signs like our insurance, I might fill out the applications for
Right.
insurance,
But he,
but he'll
yeah,
sign them.
Yeah.
Same thing with grant applications, everything is signed by
Okay.
Gary.
And over certain,
Another tree. Sorry.
over certain amount,
This
yeah.
is it, this is it. Small circle of friends. So I've been running Small Circle of Friends now for more than 12 years. And we started off with 3 days and we're up to 5 days full with people on the waiting list. So if we switch from having program at Lyle and have it in the blue building at the park, that's what I call it, the blue building,
Mhm.
then we have potential to make some money. So current rates are on here for you to look at.
So it's just during the school year? Okay.
So if you have your choice about doing it, we could only have a 9-month program just so that we could get that building ready for camp. We could stop it in May and follow more of like a Dutchess Day schedule. This Dutchess Day ends first month or the first week into.
Yeah. In June, it's like June 2nd or something, and then starts right after Labor Day.
Right now, I just do the middle of June and I'm still charging them for June. So I'm charging them as it's 10 months.
So you've got expense, salary, but what's the rent? Am I missing where the rent, what's the rent
We
currently for
don't-
Lyle?
Oh, and Lyle is $500 a month.
Yeah.
They're very good to me. It should be much higher than that. They've been very generous. We're running as a non-for-profit currently. You guys are still on 501(c)(3), right? This
We're
town is
government.
still a
We're
non-profit.
government.
We're a government, but we're not a
We're
not a
not-
501c3.
We're not an NGO. However, Danielle owns the 501c3 for
It's an incorporation.
for her thing. LLC? Are you an LLC?
No,
Okay.
no, it's incorporated.
So that's hers. She uses Lyle. So what we're saying is move this under the rec,
Right, that's what we.
and it becomes a town rec program of another level that's
My pay
being
is
offered.
already absorbed
Correct,
here,
because she's already here.
so we need 2 teachers to run it.
Right.
So to continue with the current teacher, we have a great reputation.
Yep, Cindy's terrific.
It's amazing. There are certain questions, you know, Cindy should be getting paid $22 an hour at 25 hours. Preschool is hard, it's hard to ask somebody to stay. That's the hard thing about preschool, is that doesn't pay all that well, but then this is not offered many hours, so how do you keep somebody for so many years? And that's just by, raising the
You're still thinking of servicing the same age group, though. It's sort of the 18-month to
to 3.
3, yeah.
So we are on the cusp of having 2 years that we could.
Yeah.
And this has got potential for growth into, get beyond the 3-year to the 5-year-old, doing mutual kind of programs with the mother-child. So you do mother-child programs. I mean, it's got a lot of potential as you move forward.
It's a theater program for
The
what
first
we
thing is
do.
getting your feet wet with it.
How many hours is it?
It's only a 3-hour program.
3 hours.
So if you have an under 3-hour program, it's 2 hours and 55 minutes. Because then you don't need to be licensed to keep it under 3 hours. So
But you're subject still to county, all those regs, health department and all that kind of stuff.
So then, when you say Cindy gets paid 25 hours per week, it's an extra hour before and after?
that is negotiable, like we can figure out, if we keep Cindy at 25, could she do some rec stuff also?
Because we have to we also have to fall into the Dutchess County,
All right.
Right, are there any at 25 hours?
we don't have,
Is it either
Part-time
20,
at
is it 20 or
25.
40? Is 20 part-time?
20 is like our max for
Yeah.
part-time.
Yeah.
So, and we would also have to find out, do we have to hire off of a list and things like that? So we just need to do a little bit of research on that. But I don't think we can do 25 as part-time with the county.
You can't do 20.
So,
This would pay for itself, basically.
well, but I'm thinking about the timeframe here. So this would start, this ends when the school year is over, right, for the summer. So next fall, it would have to be in place.
It has to be ready for registration in February. The commitment has to be there, because they're gonna start calling me in February for registration, that's when we open.
For the following
Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking about the sprinkler, the heat.
We don't
I
need
mean,
sprinklers,
We found out
we don't need them, we don't need
You
them.
don't?
No.
I've checked with everybody.
Really?
Yeah.
James and I went to the building and inspected it, it has, insulation.
Insulation.
There's a R34.
Yep,
or
in the
35
ceiling.
insulation in the
Yeah.
ceiling, there's like
So what we
6.
need is heating and air conditioning.
That won't be hard to
That
do.
is
Which are
so-
those Bluebird things,
Yes.
those heatulators?
Yep, we
Oh,
actually
they're
got
three
one.
of them.
Like the mini.
That's what we're
Yes,
talking about,
yeah,
three of
we
them.
got one for our garage. They're actually not very expensive.
Just get 3 of them
Oh, we just did 3 upstairs.
upstairs
Yeah.
on the 3rd floor.
There's some other stripping
They
that has to
give
be
all-
done.
That was expensive.
Yes.
I don't know how much those
Hang on.
are, but I feel like sometimes we get fleeced by people giving us some of these quotes. They just think it's the town and they give us, I don't know who
That
gave
was
us those
pretty
quotes.
expensive.
But we
Well,
look-
yeah, because
Yeah.
we paid what for the upstairs? Like
$17,000.
17, yeah, I was gonna say
Wow, that's a
17 or
lot.
18,000.
But
That's
you're
a
talking
lot.
about how far you went up and all of
Yeah,
that ductwork
maybe,
and all
yeah,
that.
maybe it was a different.
But up there,
That's one story.
you've got a concrete floor, you got 2 big garage doors. In looking at it, if you put 2 on one side and 1 on the other, just keep blowing it in and out, you'd be fine. It'll be comfortable for the summer and it will be comfortable for the winter. The thing with the winter, you gotta make sure,
Is it insulated, the building?
yes,
Oh, that's
Ceiling
great.
and
Yeah,
walls.
yeah. I didn't think.
You have water, and you
Oh
have
my
one
gosh.
water and one
I've
bathroom.
only been in there a couple.
Great.
You've
If you
also-
undo an outlet cover, you can see insulation.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's
That's great.
So you
James
would-
was up in the rafters and everything, looking at everything.
That's
So
awesome.
we would have
I
to
know.
put that on the highway department's schedule for plowing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which is 1 sweep in, 1 sweep out.
They used to,
Well-
So,
they used to.
Well, if Millbrook is calling a 2-hour delay, then we'll be on a 2-hour delay, so he doesn't have to do
Okay.
it right away.
right,
You know, we'll be on the same schedule as them.
So if you're doing a half, Are you doing full day or half day?
It's only 3 hours.
3 hours.
So if you do a delay, a 2-hour delay, they're there
They
for.
still want.
Oh, yeah, well, please, I would drop my son off for 15 minutes. I have no idea.
Could be
I
best
mean,
with a
I mean,
piece.
for-
That person, they were like, what do you mean, what do you mean?
It's just an 18-month-old
And
boy.
then we're gonna
it's
have to
like-
talk to people and say, it seems like it's out of the way, but it's really only 6 minutes from town. Like if they're dropping them off at Mecca or Dutchess Day,
Yeah,
it's really close, but they're gonna think it's.
it's
So
out.
we're gonna
Yeah.
have to have those figures to tell.
Yeah, but I think it's such a great space, it's such a great
Great
space,
space,
and you have the
and you can do
outdoor play
outdoor stuff
areas.
and-
If that building gets prepped like it needs to be with the heating, air conditioning, then you've got potential not only for your pavilion, but you've got potential for that building.
So,
But I think Danielle talked about, you kind of have to keep it though as is. Like you can't rent it for other things during the year. Am I
this
correct?
is what I was hoping to do.
Okay.
If there's a way to do a retractable door that goes across
Those accordion doors, like
Accordion
they do in the
doors.
gym.
that, right by the garage door. We looked at the space. All we really need is from the garage door over
To the bathroom.
and have the bathroom on our side.
Yes.
Okay.
right.
All the rest of the stuff, we can have a senior citizen program going on at the same time or right afterwards. And Small Circle of Friends can still have all their gear up. They don't have to have the wear and tear on everything to break it down. But there's a lot of space to still have a program going over there.
Right.
Afternoon programs, whatever.
Well, you actually put away, I mean, at
We
Lyle,
used to.
you would pack up the entire
Yeah.
operation into a closet about
Closet.
that big.
Yeah.
So that Lyle could use the space when you were done at
Where there-
11:30.
On that side, there's also.
The storage room.
The storage room.
And
Yeah.
also you have
Where
that
we
shed
rented
up
out
top.
for the summer.
You got the shed up top next to the upper pavilion. That could be cleaned out. And during the summer, all of that munchkin stuff could go up there.
Munchkins.
Could go up there.
Yeah.
Munchkins.
So I don't know if this is interesting for you. You may have to build it into the budget for this year. Maybe we have the funds to do it. But on Wednesday is that webinar for the grant,
Right.
The CDBG.
the
yeah.
CDBG on, is it CDBG? Yes.
Mhm.
Which we would definitely, maybe if we want a new playground or anything else,
Thursday.
like we could throw that in there. It's Wednesday at 10
Oh,
a.m.
it's Wednesday, I thought it was Thursday.
November 2nd. I got it. That's the
Oh.
workshop.
The workshops. that afternoon.
And you can join in person or virtually. I was going to tune in virtually. So, we could, I mean, playground, whatever, I don't know. That,
I would get quotes on that AC heating system.
yeah.
Just look at 3 of them. Because it's flat, you already got your electric there. It's a matter of just, and it's a 1-story building.
The lights need to be replaced. They're really.
A couple of them. They're-
I mean,
Well, they're the old style gym, we have to turn it on, wait
Oh,
for
they're
15 minutes to turn on.
can we get LED and work it in with,
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Climate Smart?
Totally.
Yeah.
Climate Smart
Totally.
might want to come in and work with the preschool and then the camp to do some kind of, I don't know, small garden in the back. with,
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Doing,
But those lights have to be changed.
they do have to be.
The lights would be great
Is
if,
there a
if
way
if we
to,
can find
put
energy
some kind of-
efficient, which,
The floor can't actually be really, really cleaned. Is there a way to put some kind of skim coat or something onto the cement floor
I'm sure.
so that it's easier to clean?
I was thinking, what about some kind of, like those athletic mats, and then you could even put you can clean that.
Yeah, I thought that would be just super expensive. but-
They're not, you can get it at Home Depot, for not a lot. I mean, I don't know, how big is the space? You could probably do rubber matting on the whole thing for,
It's actually pretty much the same size as what Small Circle currently is.
okay.
The
That's
side that we use for
Yeah.
Small Circle.
I mean,
The concrete floor
$1,000,
itself,
$1,000?
on the left side, if I'm facing through the new entrance, the right side would be your side, where
Right.
you want that
Uh-huh.
ceiling floor. The left side is the concrete. Sometimes we park the tractors in there, so you don't want to go too overboard with the ceiling
Can
there.
you
You don't need to
park
pack.
the tractors up in the new shed? On the
They
soccer
park the
field?
tractors there during summer. Because the upper shed has already a tractor in there for the leaves. And then the front loader is in the left-hand side. And the lawnmower is in the concession side. There's 4 areas that are used for machinery.
Yeah,
out
no, there shouldn't be anything parked in there because if we get a spill, a gas or oil spill in there, it just,
And the tables and the chairs are all put in there.
yeah.
Yeah, you can get a ceiling on that. It's just a rollout.
Yeah.
But it's
Like
almost
gym
like,
seal, it's like gym seal.
garage, it's like gym pad. We have it in our
Yeah.
garage, and it's not, it is not very expensive.
No,
It's like a Home
gym seal.
Depot,
You can
yeah.
sprinkle it with colors if you want.
We both
Yes.
talking about something different.
No, I think we're talking about the same
Same
kind of thing. It's like, you put them together like a,
Yeah, they lock. it.
yes, they
Yeah.
lock, and you have them, Home Depot will install.
Yeah,
It's
Those
not
foam
expensive.
things, I
Used to
think,
have them in
yeah.
her classroom
Yeah, exactly.
during my
So you don't
basement.
open them up.
Yeah,
Look at those
exactly.
things. You know the
That-
square footage.
And,
so
and you can just do
research
like
that.
I mean, I can help you give you some of the content, the numbers for the heating if you want, for one of the referrals. I'll find out who
Okay.
did
So then
the
the
split.
We would have to bid for that.
$15,000 that we received
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Tribute Garden this year, is that earmarked for anything currently?
I would use it for something.
Well, didn't we earmark it for something?
No. It's
That's what I'm
It's
asking, when you
recreation.
I
put,
thought
when you asked for the money, did
It's
we-
gonna go to recreation.
Yeah.
Right,
I thought we already had the 40-something.
Yeah, 45,000.
That's something
that's
else.
different.
That's the 45 we've
Would
been
we get this year
accumulating.
15?
15?
Then we got 15 more, so you got 50.
I can't remember what I told, but he doesn't care.
45,
45
Okay.
and 15.
No.
yes, 45.
55,000,
50,000, right?
I
Should
thought
we-
we had
40 plus
45.
Should I
Total
maybe
with the
call the
tribute-
guy that did
The
our
3
air
years of
conditioning
tribute
out
garden
here?
Yes.
is
She's
15.
gonna
And just
Yeah.
ask him to take a look?
I have.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
as many
well,
quotes, 3
yeah.
quotes, yeah.
Oh, we have to
We
get
have to go
bids.
to
we
bid.
have 40
Should
now,
I
right?
have him
We
just
have
look at it?
45,000 now.
Tell me,
Does that
what do you
include the
think?
15 from the
Not-
tribute
not
garden?
Waste a lot of his.
Yes.
Oh,
That
so-
is the- that is the tribute
Yeah.
garden,
Because he's a
3
pretty good
years.
guy.
Including
Oh,
this
And I
year.
took- and he
Yes,
would like to
including
get
this
So you've
year.
got 45.
There's
Okay.
40 grand for the ARPA,
furnace
the
work.
ARPA money
That's different.
is different.
And air conditioning
So
work.
there's 85,000.
There's
If we
$85,000
need other work.
available.
But not just for
Recreation.
the building, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's across the street.
So we can use that like
Some of
for
Air
the heating and air conditioning and the floor and.
That will help accelerate it, so you don't need a grant right now.
Right, but if we can
Well,
get a
we-
grant,
But
Yeah,
if,
because a lot
if
of
you can
grants
get
will
a
take
grant,
well,
yeah,
To add on
usually for
something.
CDBG, it's going forward. So we could get it for, we could ask for accessible playgrounds and,
yeah, a
something like
playground, I mean, a lot of the towns that got funding last year were all playgrounds. We
Yeah.
could also throw the ramp in too, if we wanted to, depending on the timing.
they wouldn't
This
give
ramp,
us the
yeah.
ramp. We asked for the ramp one year.
And they wouldn't do the ramp?
No, then they said you have to do this whole
Elevator.
elevator
Which-
Oh,
situation.
wow.
So, yeah, they wouldn't give us, because we needed like $25,000-$30,000, and it was not enough.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So you probably can cover your AC now
Mhm,
and your AC heating, but we need
mhm.
Yeah.
3 bids on it. But the guy that
You gotta
did this
figure
is the guy we
Well, we
should
have to
get-
write up
get
a,
one- a proposal.
Proposal.
yeah.
Danielle, I'm gonna
Narcan.
send you the stuff the towns, the grants that the CDBG gave grants, what they gave it to last year, so you can see there were,
Right.
as Mary mentioned, some accessibility playgrounds, but they're playgrounds for everybody.
Right.
Which is great, and there are, you would kind of want to have one that's sort of suited to the younger ages, so let me find that for you.
So this proposal on the little people will pay for itself.
That's all.
The town of Washington Munchkins.
Yeah.
So, it's
We
so
want to keep it to
cute.
sound a little bit alike so that people know.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could just be small circle and not small circle of friends, or it could be circle of friends.
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
a question. Did
I
you
think
trademark
need
that name?
something.
Okay. Because you couldn't do that if you trademarked it.
I think this is a terrific idea.
When you have workers, let's say we found a rec leader that gets paid whatever, 20 hours, whatever. How does Christmas break work and spring break?
They're not generally paid for it. Yeah, our part-time people do not have any type of benefits. So we have to talk about all that.
And would you guys be interested in doing something like Eric Marshall as a music person that comes in once a week? I mean, that's what we currently have. We don't have to have it. He comes in for half an hour and.
Well, we shouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say let's not
If we adopt
decrease
this,
the program.
Yeah.
Let's, continue it.
Let's try to keep it as close as. we
And
can.
then if we can make improvements going forward, that That would be good.
There's also, there could be some synergy too. The library is doing so many things with, story times and all kinds of stuff that you could see if she has people coming and doing that. Those might be people you want to, see if you want to augment the program with some of the things that she's doing. Courtney, I'm sure, would give you all that stuff.
She actually wants to come in a couple times for camp.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
They tried last year, but they lost their reading person right before camp.
Oh, that's right.
So does the town board want to authorize this new program and investing in the program as part of this budget? Okay, so that'll be one of, well, you don't have to do it now, but that would be one of the benefits of the new budget is we're bringing in this program, and, this is one of the things that we're very excited about in this new budget.
And what's your enrollment?
We have a waiting list right now.
How many do you carry now?
40 slots, so it's 8 maxed out a day for 5 days. So if we look at it
So
like,
it's 8 kids.
So 40 slots per week.
so they can be 2 days a week, they can
Yeah.
be 3 days a week.
Right.
Okay.
So they're buying the slot is how I
Yeah,
explain it to them.
right.
So they don't, if you can't make your Friday, there is no makeup.
Good.
You sign up for those days.
Mhm.
You don't get your money back if you don't come.
No.
It's like paying tuition for.
Yeah.
But people come no matter what. My son is very sick.
And I really
Yeah.
like the outdoor idea that he has all that space.
Right.
Hey, get some chickens and some.
Petting zoo.
Yeah.
I actually have some I can give you. What a rescue
No
peacock
animals.
that we adopted.
It's a whole other division of the county.
Sandbox.
Ag and
marketing,
marketing, yeah.
That there is in the sandbox there, and that's not expensive to a sandbox.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be a really lovely thing for them to do. They don't need a lot.
No.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. Great.
Yep.
So that will get added into the budget,
Mhm.
Over that.
expense and revenue.
It's very forward thinking too, because as the Thorn building begins to take shape, there's gonna be more traffic. There's more things happening. Lyle is not a great permanent, besides the fact this is revenue producing for the town, and not a great
I would
permanent
love Lyle's
location.
room to do programming in because it would be a perfect senior center.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
That spot where Small Circle of Friends is.
Yeah.
Perfect senior center. It's got nice light, set up the tables all day long. for
It's
them
easy to get in and out of,
Yeah,
parking
it's
there.
right there.
We can negotiate that as you move forward.
The pastor really wants to make.
Same with St. Joe's,
That's
They
great.
do, St. Joe's has one day a week, but they do on Tuesdays.
but I mean for other things, with under
Oh,
recreation.
negotiable.
Would we have to,
You'd
we'd have to look at the insurance on that, on this
You're still
program?
doing it, okay?
Yes.
Because you got
I
kids,
can't get an
screens,
answer
all
out
that
of
kind of
Paris
stuff.
Priest about who controls that building yet. But I think I will soon.
Did you-
BYO basketball offers a more competitive program. so it's
Who
okay.
controls
Did you
St.
speak with
Joe's?
Mary about insurance?
Oh,
Whether it's
And is it
archdiocese
Mary
or
and-
Yeah.
We don't need anything
no,
And,
I like to know that.
Additional?
additional for that building, is that what you mean?
No, no, for the
We already
program.
have everything for the program.
Do you carry,
my grandson.
do you carry liability insurance for your program?
Friday night.
So we want to make sure that a liability covers this program.
Yeah.
So that would be a rider on the insurance program.
I think
Or-
the question would be though, who is if the town is, if it's becoming a town program, it would fall under the,
Well, as soon as you sign up for a program right now on my rec, you're signing off on that.
exactly,
Yeah.
And you'd have to
exactly.
screen all your
Yeah.
employees like you do through the state.
They want to
You screen
Exactly.
the coaches and stuff.
I think just running it,
Maybe it's
what it,
different.
as it takes shape, running it by Jeff, obviously,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It should be the same as
Especially when you're
camp.
handling loads.
Which there is
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah,
difference
for
if
sure.
you do basketball or,
Right.
everybody's signing that global.
Because you're changing diaper, there's a different standard.
Okay.
Well, when I was at St. Francis, the middle school at Spakenkill became vacant.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to know that.
I put together a 5
And now you're working with
company
the schools doing the
daycare program.
Okay.
Oh,
Vassar College, Culinary,
Really.
Vassar Hospital,
Grace
St. Francis, and Spakenkill School District. We took over that whole building. We renovated every room, so it was
Mecca has less
6-week-old, not
hospitals.
6-week-old,
So-
Really?
6-month-old babies
School
Through
friends was in
4-year-olds.
touch with
Oh,
that
that's
because-
great.
Throughout the entire school.
The age.
Once in a while.
In fact,
And
the
you know,
little
maybe
kids would
on the other
lower all the
side,
windows.
they're going on.
Oh, so
Right.
great.
You could look through the
Same time.
windows and lower all the fountains. And then outside we had wooden trains and stuff.
Everything.
And IBM was the underwriter
know.
of that program.
Oh, that's so great.
And, yeah, we were sold out. And the announcement that we were doing, we were sold out.
It's such a need, this is such a need.
But you have to go through
A lot,
big time.
yeah.
The state, you come down, they everything, they look at everything.
Is that right?
The county comes in, the health department came in,
There's a place. for
you
somebody
know, screen
that's some
everybody.
kind of help.
But yeah, it was a
Yeah.
daycare. It was a joint daycare. It was great. It was great. Yeah, we got it, actually, we got a state award for doing it.
Until they start buying more.
Well, that's terrific. It's such a great resource.
Okay,
Okay.
so back to the budget. Anything else for rec that we
Nope.
want to
And your
do?
park and pool's done.
Any word from our employee next year? That's not an issue.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay,
What are you talking about?
I don't want to say names.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Did you talk to him?
I have not, I called him, I was supposed to meet him, but it rained, so he wasn't there that day, so I gotta call him again, and I've been busy.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, if you could just follow up and make sure that that's not a concern of ours for next year.
The question about the generator bid you emailed me is that, yes, the Berlin cost is still good. And the rebate and the extra free 5-year warranty, so 10-year warranty on both units ends November 18th.
Okay,
You don't have to have them installed to get those things, you just have to have a signed
contract.
deal.
Okay.
Yeah. I did call Kohler and verify that, because the paperwork she gave me, print was so small I couldn't even read it with the fine print, you know. on the bottom.
Yeah.
The little- I couldn't read it with a magnifying glass. I couldn't get a hold of her, so, and then Lois, I have a question for you about the fire extinguishers, did you look into that? to see?
No, I did not.
Okay, I know your business.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Jim said no one was ever over. He doesn't recall ever seeing anybody over there.
But how the tax get?
That's what he, and he said it's, the tag is really the previous year's tag, so it's, he didn't think it was
No, the
correct.
blue tags are the previous year. These
Okay.
are green and they say 2022 on them.
So it must have happened on a day he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have any recollection of it
But I
happening.
don't understand, that's why I wanted Lois to check the
Mhm.
bill from Cryo.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
Cryowell.
Right.
Cryowell. The name is on the
Yeah,
tags.
Yeah.
yeah.
And just, when you,
Right.
it's no rush, just
Right.
because I'm not gonna act on calling them until I get the
Okay.
full report, which comes pretty quick, right? from the county?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably have an email from them the
They were
next
pretty nice
day or so.
people.
So,
Any other questions on the revenue and
Yeah.
expense report?
I
for-
do. I have one question for Danielle. Do you think the summer camp regular CE line, right, doesn't include the salaries, needs to be at 20? That would be like supplies and everything else above
What are you looking at?
salaries.
what page?
Page 4 of 4.
And that doesn't include things like buoys or that kind of stuff.
No, that's just
for
summer
camp.
camp.
Just summer camp.
Do you need that much money for supplies in summer camp?
Did that used to include people that used to come in? So we used to have somebody that, like weekly, that used to come in, a magician would.
No, this is supplies.
Well, no, that would include
That- that's
magicians
weird.
and things like
That's-
that.
That's a personnel line
Yeah.
too?
Okay,
That's
so
why.
you want to keep that there?
Which is
Because we didn't,
They only used $2,000,
yeah.
Yeah, that's because they didn't have any entertainers.
or $3,000.
We
One
can
of the
leave it.
things
I
that you
just-
guys
this
talked
was
about
at-
was stepping it
Yeah,
up, stepping the
yeah.
camp up. You wanted to
Okay.
be able to offer a quality camp.
But
That
camp
might
is,
be
camp is 4 to 5 weeks,
6 weeks.
6 weeks, $1,000 a week for a visitor?
Plus, if you're gonna have an arts and crafts person come in last year, you only had arts and crafts for 2
I
weeks.
have no idea.
That still has
Well,
to
you
be
know
on
what?
the salary line, if she's salaried, if not, if she's.
Why
That
don't
would
you
hurt
run
my
it?
salary.
1099.
Yeah, leave it.
Why
But
don't you run it?
Leave it, and if at some point
can make
we're
an
not using
adjustment.
it, we can adjust it.
Okay,
so we had a pretty good budget when I was the arts and crafts person, so.
Uh-huh. okay.
And we also, with our CITs, we had them all do CPR
Mm-hmm,
when I
Okay.
was, when I was working at camp, and they also did babysitting course, so we found somebody that could do that. so that they were even better employees for us because we're investing in them.
Right.
Right.
There, so they had those
Yeah.
things, so that's
Mhm.
a kind of nice thing, and kids might want to sign up for it a little bit more if they're getting those things. And there was no trip
Right.
for those bigger kids, which is a perk too, to keep them in for a little longer, so. That would be a nice
Okay.
thing to keep that and see how on this new way of doing camp, how much we spend. It might only be 10,000 that we need for it, and then next year we can invest.
Any other questions, Lum?
Seniors, senior citizens, your line, you get 1,500 from tribute, and then, what's it, 1,200 that we have, right? It seems like it would be nice to have 3 trips for our seniors.
Then they have to pay for them. They did 2 trips this past year that they didn't pay anything for.
Can
And
we pay for just the transportation? Yeah, I don't know, but I, from what I understand, when they do a program, they want the whole thing for free.
right, which we don't have the money for it.
No.
And last year's senior citizens trip, we had people from here to Poughkeepsie at no charge, more non-residents than residents. So we really need to talk
Can we
about
try-
that.
Can we change it so that it's our residents get it for free and then the non-residents have to pay?
Sure, but I don't think we're going to be able to do it with a $2,000 budget. Is that what am I looking at that right, Lois?
Yes,
Yeah.
Because we're getting.
How much more do you need?
Can we join forces with another town?
Yes, absolutely.
So Pleasant Valley does have one that only offers it on Fridays. So if we say to them, we'll offer you space to have a senior program for 3 days, but we want our people, and they have 6 people that are Millwood people that go to their program.
I thought you were talking trips.
It all is part of the senior program.
Yeah.
So they can go there and hang out and do bingo and play cards. There's lunches that are included that are offered there. So if we somehow finagle something with Clinton Corners or Pleasant Valley.
What is the
or-
what is the amount?
It
Like,
had-
like if you had to, I'm just wondering if somebody would want to, would a local business want to sponsor that? It's just a nice thing to do for seniors. Is it, do you get a van? Do you rent a van to take them, or how do you?
Bus company.
We had a
Bus
bus
company.
company, yeah. We did one trip to a casino, which doesn't, it's just the
And then they
cost of
went
the
to Lake
bus.
George, didn't
And I think it was Lake George.
Oh, those
They
are
were
real
gonna go to
trips.
a
I was
they
thinking
were
they were
gonna
just
go to
going to the
a
mall
winery.
or something. I'm like, I'll drive
they?
people.
They were gonna go to a winery, but they backed
Westchester,
out
Dinner theater,
Theater.
yeah,
because they wouldn't give
Okay.
them lunch.
right.
Another thing is, there is another senior group in town that also makes access to ours, sometimes a negotiation between the two needs to take place.
So
How much more do you think you need to have like no charge? I mean, for non-residents, you'd have to charge them. But for that third trip, how much more do you think it would
It's
cost?
$1,500 just for the
Buses are
bus.
going to cheap next year.
So in Pleasant Valley, it costs
Because of fuel.
$1,500 for
It'll
the,
probably cost
for the
more
train
because of
for
fuel.
that.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
usually, whenever they get to the place, it's an additional $55 to $60
Right.
to do the show or wherever they're per person.
And how many cheap?
no,
No, but that's why we have to join forces with other towns. It doesn't make sense for
Yeah.
everybody to have them.
I wonder, like you said, maybe the business
Yeah.
association might fit the bill for some of that.
if you did $60 times 40 people, it's $2,400 just for tickets, plus $1,500 for a bus. So we're talking $4,000 per senior
Well,
trip.
how about
Oh,
the
per
village?
trip.
Did the village help us?
They're part of,
So, yeah, so we've got $2,000 in the budget. So if you want to increase that, we should be doing that now. And
Or do you want to leave the budget item alone and you want to give us a breakdown of what the cost is? And I'm happy to see if I can find a business or businesses or
What do we want to
Someone
do?
who
Do we
would
want to
wanna-
provide a place for them to hang out and maybe get lunches every so often?
I think
Or-
bingo night is so, I mean, I don't,
Well, they don't go out at night at all. They want.
oh, right, forget about driving at night, I didn't think
Everything
about
is
that.
during the day.
Right,
So
sorry.
like me.
I mean, bad idea.
We're getting to that age, Lois.
Lois wants to get home now, right?
Yeah.
Should I drive you home? So where is the best place to have a senior program? So there is a ramp at the village hall where they could go, but they're gonna want food probably, so we don't want it.
Thornbill's not finished yet, so.
No,
Yeah, I
But
think
there's
it
the
would
other
be
side
good.
of the park building that seniors could be at, and they would have it to themselves after 11:30. After small circle of friends is over with, they can.
I think if you continue to do what you've been doing with the seniors, like the 2 trips, and then test that turnout, you don't have to do everything next year all at once. I think build towards a senior center, especially if we find out what's going on at St. Joe's. You know, if we could get access there, even a classroom there, would be a nice little senior center. You could set tables up. They've got bathrooms. They even have a little luncheonette there, you know, cafeteria.
Yeah.
That build towards those things. However, being a senior, they're going to complain that they don't get enough. But I think if you can plug a few things in during the year, like I mentioned, that balance thing that Pleasant Valley did with an elderly person that's sponsored, that's a county program.
Yes.
Yeah, invite them to come in and do, even if you just do something once a month or once every 2 months, that gives them a walking
Chair
club.
aerobics would be good.
A walking club,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing. We used to have, Jim Tiger's wife used to run a walking club, and they'd walk all over the village, 15 women. Sometimes you'd have to get off the sidewalk when they came, but that was sponsored by the rec. That was part of the rec. She was actually paid, because they do a little exercise in the beginning, and that's what you want to offer them.
Well, the question is, we don't have anything in the budget really to speak of, and
You got
We're
2,000,
gonna
right?
take this summer camp line.
so where do we want to put the money in and raise the taxes a little bit?
Or can we take
or-
10,000 out of that summer camp?
Out of the
Why
summer
not?
camp line and put it
I'd
to,
rather do that. Keep our budget at
Rather not
10,000.
raise any taxes if we can help. I mean, that's a good suggestion.
That's a reasonable.
right, so then one other thing that we did put in this budget that we haven't really talked about much was the grant. And where did we put that, Lois? In park? We put $15,000
yes.
in the park and
Grant
pool
writer.
CE for a grant writer.
Or for a writer.
To find us grants for potential upgrades
Hmm.
at the park. We could maybe reduce that a little bit and put some of that to seniors.
Yeah.
That fellow that we met with.
They just, they sent the,
Yes.
I don't think I've sent it to this group yet. I thought it was I mean,
Yeah, you did.
I did send it to you guys?
Yeah,
And
Okay,
then we
yeah.
put
good.
that up
Yeah,
to
so-
here, at
Um,
7.
I don't know. I think that's a healthy, I mean, we might,
I think, because I think we're in that ballpark.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we
Oh,
use
for sure.
his
Even if we
services.
use the lower end of the
Yeah.
service, or we find,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought, did you want to take that much, or do you want to?
Mike,
I said to take 10 out of it from 20.
That's a lot of money.
how about we
said
do
five.
5 and
Take 5.
5 from Mary, from the grant writer's line? And leave 10 in there, would that work?
I don't know. I mean, if
They're expensive.
it's
Yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
It's tedious
So we'll
work.
just,
I feel like if we invest the 15, we're gonna get a lot more out of it. It's worth us having something there for that. If you feel like you can take it from someplace else, if you
Okay.
can't, then,
And we can increase it.
so what
If we had more
we're
seniors.
just talking about was taking 5 from the summer camp line and putting it up to the senior
And then make those seniors 7.
7.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
$7,000 is a lot
Yeah.
more rent for seniors. Again, if you need to adjust as we go through the year, we'll adjust it. Lois is good at moving
Sure. Well, if we don't use the money during the summer, towards the end of the year,
Oh,
you
you
could
can,
always.
yeah, if you don't use it during the summer, you got a big pool at the end of the year. Do something
We
around
can move-
Christmas
yeah,
time.
yep.
Take it to a show.
Somebody was talking about an ice rink, they really want
What?
an ice rink.
Good luck.
All the towns are doing it.
Well, I know they are.
Yeah.
But then when it talks about the Grange, who's a really, makes it such a pain.
Well, the ice rink years ago,
It used to
you
be.
used to do it when it was cold and stayed cold. Now,
Yeah.
Where's the pool?
you'd have to have refrigeration.
Well, not just that, the pool became a liability. The insurance company said,
Yeah.
no more
We
on
used to
that pool.
skate there all the
Yeah, yeah.
time.
Well, what they do in a lot of New England towns, like where our village green is,
Yeah.
That would play down something.
you put down a rim, and you do a plastic thing, you pump it in, but you gotta keep it cold all the time. With the lights and stuff, I suggested that when I was rec director.
Yeah.
George Whalen loved the idea.
I sort of floated that
Yeah.
with some people with the
You gotta
Bennett
keep
Bennett
it cold.
Park.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and
it's,
it was suggested that perhaps I look for, either I pay for that or find someone else to pay for that, which I'm not in the market to
well, the
do.
place in
But it's a great-
Newport,
Cute.
the-
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
hotel out
Exactly.
there, my
Exactly.
kids
It's
skate out there.
adorable. It's small
Yeah.
and families
But they
come.
run that all the time.
Yeah.
It's all
But anyway,
propane
that is definitely would be a great thing to think about down the line.
down the road.
But you've got so many great things happening.
Yeah,
This is
nice too.
terrific. No, go ahead.
The basketball court at the park right now, the way it is, would be nice to do that, the pickleball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we spoke about that, Mike.
And also take those shuffleboard courts and convert them to the cornhole.
Well, I think all of that stuff
That's
would be
yours.
great stuff. Like, I sent you the link with the grant money that came from the CBDG, but is it the MIG, the municipal grant that comes out, that application
other-
comes out
Every other year.
in April.
Isn't it?
I think it's every year.
That was the Molinaro grant stuff.
Yeah, because I actually called the number that Deirdre gave me. I spoke to the office there, and they said that would come out later in the year, in April or May, those applications. Now, maybe the money gets granted at the end of 2023, but I thought that might be, we could get some real money for infrastructure, basketball court and pickleball, all
You
that
get
stuff.
more with the MIG grant if you are shelling out some of the money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it a 10, I think, is it a 10%?
I don't think there was a percentage, but
Okay,
you got extra.
the more that
There
you
weren't points or
allocated towards
anything,
it?
but
Okay,
Yeah. Did Pleasant Valley do a grant?
That's the one I got. $100,000.
yeah.
That was your bathroom grant, right?
We should, as Stanford's doing so much around
I
this
know.
and fundraisers, so
Amazing.
maybe that's where, maybe fundraising is where we get the other part, we could figure that out.
There's little pieces of the current playground that's there that could be, there's like a swing that.
Yeah, you don't have to build it from
Great to-
scratch. You can modify what you have.
Exactly, that could make us a cord rubber
Mm-hmm.
with a parade, but you don't have to cord rubber on the whole thing. You could just do a pass so that somebody with a wheelchair, if there's
Yeah.
somebody that
Yeah.
actually is coming to soccer that is in a wheelchair.
Right.
We're lucky enough to be able to provide something where they can roll their wheelchair out, but we could do more.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I think you're gonna be excited when you see, it was interesting when you read the description of what they say that they give this money to, and then you see actually what they gave the money to, it just gives you more ideas about things. And you have so many great ideas. I mean, you can come up with a
We're right in the
great
middle
list of
too,
things,
because
yeah.
that is upgrading.
Yeah,
for that
it's
kind of-
great.
Yeah.
Regarding the CDBG grant,
Yeah,
after you watch the,
yeah,
then we have to figure out how we're writing
yeah.
it. Okay.
Okay. I'm on board, whatever we need.
All right. I think we're partnering.
And we're definitely
Yeah.
going to partner. And Danielle, maybe you can help us too if it's stuff having to do with playgrounds or
Yeah.
whatever we think. Or I didn't realize, I thought the ramp would be a natural one, but if that isn't, then maybe we can, after I watch you and I can talk about and
Yeah.
we can come back. Actually, that's something we have to put on the agenda for the November meeting. I think they require the public to give their thoughts.
We scheduled the public hearing at the last budget meeting.
Right, okay, we did. That's
did,
part of that. Okay, great.
Yeah,
I
so
just
then at our
remember you
November
mentioned that.
meeting, we need to authorize us to submit a grant.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we really need to get going next week if we have ideas.
okay.
So we'll need to get together.
Are we done with the budget? I have just one quick thing I had to bring up. So Aaron Warner connects with Jeff Battistoni. Thank you, Danielle. And Sarah Wilson in advance of the planning board meetings, just to go over the application, see if there's any legal issues. And James wrote a letter. Now that the moratorium has been lifted, the DLC has submitted a follow-up application for the Perkins property. And James's letter, they basically need to, they've now been gifted the house. They have to apply for a special use permit for the space for an office, and they want to expand some parking there, so they need a site plan approval and a special use permit. James looked at their application where they submitted paperwork defining themselves, going over their work as an educational institution so that their work, does fit within the code. He was satisfied that their explanation fulfills that requirement. He said, however, he wants to pass it along to the town board and the planning board to see whether or not we would like to refer it to the ZBA for an interpretation. He asked me the question, I asked Jeff and Sarah the question, what do you think? Does this fulfill the requirement? And they both said, yes, they're very comfortable. They actually said that whatever James said legally, he didn't even need to refer it to us. But I just said, we're having a meeting tonight, and I would let you all know that. And so now they go before the planning board to have presuming we don't want to refer it for an interpretation, to see about the special use permit and the site plan approval. Jeff also suggested that at that time we talk to them about their taxes and their payment in lieu of taxes and what that amount would be. I said, who then, if the planning board raises that question, he said their special use permit could even, in some way, would be contingent upon that conversation and that negotiation. And I said, who would have that conversation? And he said, the town board. So I said, we can, once that's referred to the planning board, either you reach out, I don't know who the appropriate person here would be, but I just asked him that question about how we would circle back with that, and he suggested that we have that follow-up be in writing. So
There would have to be a discussion at a board meeting.
So what's happening
Right.
to the rest of the land?
that's already
That's all.
already been gifted to the Palladium, Apollo Palladium, a different entity that just owns that, and it's all in conservation,
Right.
and it's still going to be farmed by Walbridge Farm. So
It was just the
they're
building that we were.
it's just the
concerned
building.
20-some.
And there was a question about the code and to accommodate that office there, but they are actually, after they actually reviewed the code, they satisfied the requirements, or
about, which
believe
is
that they had,
education, yeah.
based on the work that they
Right.
do, that they do fulfill those requirements. And so we had talked about it before, and so I just wanted to, Aaron flagged it for me because he remembers the last conversation. I asked Sarah and Jeff, are you satisfied with the explanation? They both are, and they said James actually, that's his job
Right.
to enforce the code. So anyway, I said we're having a meeting tonight, and then I would run it by everybody, and but it would be following the planning board or around that time that we would discuss. So if that comes up, I don't know when they're going to be. I think the question was, would they be on the agenda for next
November,
week's
December.
planning
I
board?
think they're too late for that.
But they might be, although she submitted her application
did submit the
October
application?
17th.
Oh, all right.
So they might be, or within that time.
Then I
Yes,
think
that
they're
was 2
fine.
weeks. That's
Yeah.
exactly 2 weeks. So they just submitted it, and that's why Aaron flagged it. And Aaron's terrific, and is working really well with Sarah and Jeff as an aside. But anyway, I just wanted to run it by everybody and make sure everyone is
Yeah.
I want
feedback.
So when they come
I
back to
want the
us,
plastic bowl and a couple of the frogs.
Yeah, right,
so
exactly.
when they come back to us, we just
Yeah.
have to decide
Set the frog
what
in
kind
the
of
lake
level
if
of
the
tax,
water comes
in
out.
lieu of
yeah.
taxes, do we want to
Every
assess them?
door in the
Yeah.
house had a frog.
Oh,
Well, we should just find out
How
what,
cute.
And
What's the
what
value?
car,
What
depends on
exactly?
what car.
Yeah.
I would take a
What are they
frog
paying now?
ornament,
Right.
Put it on a different
Um,
level.
So anyway, I just
because
wanted
what
to.
they initially offered us was like peanuts, as far as,
Yeah.
the payment in lieu of tax.
Yeah,
It's nice, it's going to be an educational piece.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it's great.
and they're going to
Okay.
preserve everything,
I
and
hope it
it's
works
it's a
out.
great thing for the, for them, and I think it's a
It's
great thing
tricky.
for the town. But
Yeah.
I'm very happy that it's all, done according to code. And I said to Jeff, I just wanted to make sure that in my recommendation, we were following the right process. And he said, absolutely, James, could have made that call on his own. He wants to, because he knew there was a conversation, he wants to come back to us. That's why I asked he and Sarah, they were both on the phone, whether what they thought, and they were both comfortable with us making that
So at
determination.
the next, our meeting, James comes, we can say to him, we were satisfied with your decision. We don't have to make a decision.
You
That
We
might-
don't, we don't have to
He feels-
refer it
he
for
feels
interpretation to the
comfortable. You know how he gets
ZBA.
uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at our November board meeting, perhaps you can speak with David Stack.
Well, David was representing the estate, and I believe the transfer's already occurred. I don't know
Okay, so then
who
who-
DLC's attorney
Sean
is.
Pratt, maybe?
It might have been Sean, because she
Sean,
was here.
yeah, so,
Or I can reach out to Rebecca Seaman or Becky Thornton, who was,
Right.
just to ask just to confirm that Sean's their counsel. I'm
right,
pretty
who,
sure that she
yeah,
is,
who
'cause she
should,
was
they
part
should
of
be,
that.
we should be talking
Yes.
to about
Yeah.
the payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay. I will do that.
And then we'll research the value up in the assessor's office and just go off what they're getting paying and
Yeah, I can.
adjust it.
Mhm.
Mary, do you want me to talk to Sarah or Jeff about the generator bid?
Sure, if you want to, yeah, if you have the time, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, I'm just gonna, are we finished? We can turn this off?
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay, motion to close?
motion.
second,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.